Hello, strong people. It's week seven, day one of preparation for Strongman Corporation Nationals. It's kind of a deload week this week, I think. Like today, we're not doing clean and press every rep on log. We're just doing it out of the rack. Now, I'm out of breath because I did my warm-ups. If you're not a little bit out of breath from your warm-ups, you're probably not doing it quite right. You should increase the body temp, get the heart rate moving a little bit before jumping into an exercise. But today we got log out of the rack, push press, I think it's 280 to 300, 3 sets of 5 or something maybe. Now, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with pressing out of the rack. I used to only press out of the rack, of course, because at college, they don't really, at least my college, they didn't really have like anywhere you could, they didn't have really strongman equipment. They had like one 8-inch Titan log, and you couldn't really drop it over on the platform. So I didn't do a whole lot of anything like that in college. I did overhead pressing, but it was all out of the rack. So that's where I started to press. And I got pretty good at it. But then as I graduated and got more strongman stuff and a coach, I didn't really do a whole lot of out of the rack pressing since then in the last few years. Here and there sprinkled in, usually as a deload like this. And I haven't done this in a while. I did some strict press out of the rack with a barbell a couple months ago, and that was about it. But usually lately when I've done this, there's been kind of I don't feel quite set or in the right position when I'm out of the rack. But we'll see if we can change that today. I'll try to dial it in, get a feel for it as we warm up, practice with just the empty log here. But I'm sure right about now you're about to see my first set. And go. That went okay. I thought it was 3 sets of 5. It was only 2. So that was pretty simple. First set was great. Felt fine. The hardest part for me is getting it in the correct position out of the rack. Because whenever I clean it, it just kind of falls naturally into a position in the rack position. From here, I don't really know if I need the handles here or if I need them more this way. It all just felt a little funky. I just happened to get it pretty close to correct on that first set. Second set, not so much. I could tell that I had the handles tilted too far up. So I knew right away. It's light enough that I can manage it, but it was heavy enough to where I could notice a difference compared to set 1. Didn't quite have the pop. Didn't quite have the balance once I did have it up. I've had kind of an on and off headache all day, and if you've never done heavy overhead press with a headache, it kind of makes the headache a little bit worse because of all that pressure going to your head. At least for me, it does. So the lockout was a little bit rough to hold, and now my head definitely hurts a little bit more than it did before it, but It wasn't bad enough to where I was like, oh, I can't do this. It was no big deal. But I'm pretty happy with how that went. No real complaints. Something I do want to say is the shirt you wear on an overhead press day can make a difference. Now, this one's awfully, like, it's pretty tight. A little too tight for what I would like to wear during overhead pressing. But it's too accurate because obviously I'm strong and pretty. So I got to let people know. But on that first set, you can actually, you probably can't hear it in the video. Well, you won't be able to because I'll have to mute it because of the music I had playing. But the neck of my shirt that's now all stretched out was actually ripping, or at least the strings were, as I was pressing it. I could hear pop, pop, pop. So I could tell that it was restricting me a little bit. I didn't feel that on the second set, obviously, because it was already stretched out at that point. But that first set, you hear a little pop, pop, and you're like, what was that? And then it's just your shirt. But you also don't want to wear too loose of a shirt because you get a lot of friction build up here in your armpits on the roll. I've actually put baby powder on my pits before because of that, both for deadlifting and for overhead press if I'm cleaning it. Which is kind of weird. I don't know if other people do that, but I do, and it works. Either way, my accessories today are just some, it's like 2 sets of 6 to 10, depending on which exercise it is. So I'll probably record some of that. I think one's like low rows. I'm pretty sure that's what next, but I don't have any strict press today like I've had the weeks previous. So let's just get on to the accessories. All right, so we're going to do these 3 exercises full on like Sam Sulek mode. I'm going to wear the mic and talk while lifting. Actually, he doesn't really talk while he's doing the exercise, but he'll talk immediately after. And then people are always like, oh, he's so out of breath. I'm like, yeah, he just went to failure on like 365-pound incline bench. Like, if you're not out of breath, you're probably not human. So we got single arm lat pull downs, paused, reverse fly, and then dumbbell lateral raise, but I'm going to be using some bands instead. So stick with me. I got to find the right amount of tension on these. That's usually the fun part. More. I don't really know what in particular the reason for these are, but I should ask that. I question a lot of stuff my coach says to me, and that's not because I don't trust him. It's actually the opposite. I trust what he's saying, but I also want to know the reasoning behind it. Because although I do blindly follow some stuff, I want to know. Because if I ever want to get into coaching or go into some sort of certification program, then I have some knowledge to back it up. Instead of just being like, oh, it worked for me, it should work for you. And sometimes it works like that. Not everything in lifting is written in a book. Some things you just got to trust. And I trust what my coach programs me. But that doesn't mean I don't want to know why I'm doing it. It's also a very bad idea for me to be talking while training because I can't count while I do that. These are probably one of my favorite variations. Everything right now is sets of 10, so that's pretty cool. Which I guess it doesn't matter because I'm not counting correctly anyway. But I know for sure, as I've increased my deadlift, as I've increased my overhead press, my rear delts have gotten quite a bit bigger. And probably because I get programmed a lot of these. Now, I'm not really sure what I want to do for, and which band I want to use for these. I think I'm going to go with this band for it. Yeah, we'll do that. Hopefully it doesn't break. These bands are getting kind of brittle. That's probably too heavy, but I'll be honest, I do a lot of these, but I'm really bad at feeling the connection in the outer part of the delt. My trap does like to take over a lot, and I can feel it burning right now, which is not really what I want because it's a delt exercise, not a trap exercise. It'll probably be more apparent in this angle, given that you can see my trap a little bit. I think I can get it to connect a little bit more with my left side delt, more so than my right. I don't know exactly what that has to do, some sort of muscle imbalance, just mind-muscle connection. I don't think mind-muscle connection is talked about enough for like strength athletes, powerlifters, strongman, whatever. It's almost like targeting a weak point in your lift. Because whenever you're doing a full body movement, it's kind of hard to pinpoint exact muscles. But eventually, through accessory movements, I think you can get to that level where you can feel certain things in your full body movements that just aren't quite working. Like a log press, for example. I don't think my upper back was ever fully engaged up until I started training Viking press. And that's just because I was sat in this position for so long. I was able to, as I started to do it, I started to feel my upper back working in a way that I hadn't noticed before. So when it came time to do log again, I was able to carry that over. And Viking press wasn't an accessory at that point in time, but it was just something that, it was a different movement, so it worked different muscles compared to like a log press. It's just different positioning overall. Still that neutral grip overhead, but you're more upright. You don't have to lean back quite as much. It just has that different feel to it. But I was able to take those muscles that I didn't feel working on log before, figure them out on Viking press, and now I have that to carry over into log press, which I think is pretty cool. And it's definitely blown my log up quite a bit. Hi, buddy. You coming out to visit? You hanging out? He does that literally every time my wife takes him out. He comes out, he'll see me, he'll stop, come in, visit me, and then he's good. He just wanted to check on me. It's the best. All right, so I'm probably going to close out the session after this. But we got, let's see here, 2 sets of 6 on tricep pushdowns and Zotman curl. I don't think Zotman curls are used very much, so if you don't know what they are, give me a second here. I'm recording.
What?
I'm recording.
Oh, I was looking past it.
Anyway, these are Zotman curls if you don't know what they are. Probably too heavy. definitely a little bit too heavy. Should have been more controlled, but either way, up, down, up, down. I don't know what makes them different, but they feel cool. Kind of burns the forearms more than anything. But I don't do a whole lot of bicep stuff. I don't really like it. I understand that there's two sides to this, and I have no evidence to back up my side. You want strong tendons for strongmen because you do a lot of pulling events, like Atlas stones. That's a bicep killer. Arm over arm rope pulls, axle cleans, even log cleans if you're bad at them. So my theory is, if you don't really train your biceps, then you don't really have that mind-muscle connection. So you don't really use your biceps. I have no evidence to support that theory whatsoever. But I know a lot of people train them so they can strengthen their tendons, prevent their biceps from snapping off the bone. But I don't really feel my biceps a whole lot when I do any exercises like that.
Paisley, come.
I should have a quiet on set sign. That's the end of week 7, day 1. Kind of a boring session, but I tried to talk to you guys a little bit more in between or during, just to kind of keep it entertaining, because I know my last couple of videos are pretty boring. But it's how it is sometimes. Ups and downs of training. I think tomorrow, I know tomorrow's deadlifts. I don't know if there's sandbag or not tomorrow, but it's like 30 seconds rest or something for like 8 or 10 sets tomorrow. I don't know. It's like one of my least favorite types of deadlift days. But I think there's something out of my back. Yoke always seems to pop out like a rib or something. And as heavy as that yoke was on Saturday, I wouldn't be surprised if there's something a little bit out of place, just because I've never done a yoke that heavy. And to do it for a couple runs was a nice little win. But I don't really got much else to report on. You guys saw pretty much the entire workout there. Pretty much. Not everything, but you know. Not everything's that exciting. Not everything's all that informational. Some things you just got to do. But I hope to see you guys in the next one. We're getting close to 100 subscribers. Like, I can't believe that. 100 people like care to subscribe to me. That's kind of crazy. But I'm going to go down to the Dollar General and try to find some hot sausages, because that's what I want for dinner. I'm an adult and I can make my own decisions. What is wrong with me? I hope people stay to watch the end of these videos, because they just get more ridiculous the further I get into them. But that's where I need to stop the video. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.